AI's impact is visible across various industries, transforming processes and creating efficiencies that were once unimaginable. Ethan King. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. I have a very special guest on the podcast today, my husband and business partner, Ethan King. February marks 22 years of marriage for us. So happy anniversary, Ethan. After decades of building a life and businesses together, it's been a while since I've seen him this fired up about a topic. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But first, for those of you who don't know Ethan beyond being my husband, though that's a pretty important role, here's a quick snapshot. Ethan King is an entrepreneur, mentor, keynote speaker, and business leader who turned $700 that he and I scraped together into Stuff for Greeks, a global brand for custom fraternity and sorority merchandise. He's also the co-founder of Zeus's Closet, a growing retail store specializing in on-demand embroidery and printing, and he's led several other successful ventures. A champion for growth, Ethan mentors small business owners to hit the 1 million per year mark and has been on stages all around the globe. He loves teaching actionable life hacks to help others win faster. He not only transformed his own health appearing on Best Self magazine's Over 40 and Fabulous cover, but he has helped others transform their health as well with his Six Pack Dads program. Ethan's passion for growth is inspiring, and honestly, I must admit, I did not do so bad. Today, he's bringing that same passion to our discussion around artificial intelligence, also known as AI. Ethan has written a book, especially for business owners, around the use of AI in your business, and he'll soon launch a new book around AI for just the everyday Joe. However, today, we are focused on you and the use of AI in your business. So take a listen to my chat with Ethan. You all may recall a few months ago, I told you that Ethan was on the road talking about all things AI and that I would have to get him on the show. Here he is here with me today. Ethan, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Hey, it's great to be back on the Become Your Own Boss podcast, and we have so many new things to talk about. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. I have no idea what you're going to ask me today, but it'll be fun.
Yes, it'll definitely be fun. We recently marked the 2-year anniversary of ChatGPT's release on November 30th, 2022.
Yeah.
Since then, you have embraced artificial intelligence or AI like no one I know. You've written a book and you shared your expertise all around the globe. So tell me, what excites you most about the intersection of AI and business?
Oh, there's so many developments. I mean, we are in a revolutionary time where everything is changing at a rapid pace like we've never seen before. I encourage everyone to get on top of it so that you can ride this wave because you don't want to miss this. A lot of people missed like the dot-com era, the internet wave, and got onto that really late. But if you jump on it now, AI is the future. It's already here. It's already woven into our lives. But at the intersection of AI and business, it allows us to scale infinitely without needing to hire as much, which is a big deal for small business owners. As you know, in a lot of places, in some states, the minimum wage is $20 an hour, $25 an hour. And that's great for the workers, but businesses, we can't afford that. We can't afford to have that being the minimum because then people want more than that, of course. And that really, really eats into your profits. Honestly, it eats into your survival if you're overstaffed and having to pay people. The robotics, the and AI are the future, and it's a necessity now. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. We're going to have to depend more on robotics and AI in order to survive and thrive and scale in business. So get on top of it now, because the great thing is we all have this technology at our fingertips. It's not guarded anymore by computer programmers and software developers. I mean, you know that I'm not a software developer. I was an art major in college. If I can figure this stuff out, then anybody can figure it out. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. Now, Ethan, for some people, AI is really scary and they're afraid of what it entails or what it may mean for their business or what it may mean for their staff members. What do you tell those people?
The only thing to be scared about is people who misuse AI and use technology for nefarious reasons. But you need to be scared about that with any technology, not just AI, because there are bad players in whatever space. I mean, let's look at the car, for example. Great technology. It changed the whole world when the automobile came out. But there are bad people who go commit terrorist acts using vehicles, right? Things happen. It's not the AI itself you need to be worried about. AI, let's bring it back to ChatGPT, because that's what the average person thinks about when they think of AI, because that's what's really put it on the map in the past 2 years for the general public. It's really just a big calculator. Have you ever went to Google and started typing in a search and then it predicts what you're going to say? It's
Yes.
That's called predictive search, and it just mathematically, based on the algorithm and what other people have searched, it knows if you can type like the first two or three letters, it does a really good job of predicting, oh, she's searching this. ChatGPT is really the same thing, just on steroids. It's mathematically predicting the next logical word based on the parameters that you've given it in what's called a prompt. The more that you tweak your prompt and customize your prompt, that's going to affect your output, because now you're giving it every single word in your prompt is going to influence your output. And not just the words in the prompt, but the words in your custom instructions, any words that may be in your knowledge base of a custom GBT that you built. It all affects the output.
Okay.
Well, back to your question, because you were like, where does the fear come in? There's nothing to be scared of. Just like you aren't scared of a calculator to do math, right? It's just a
Right.
calculator. So if you understand that AI is just a calculator, and anytime that it does say things that may be alarming, like if it sounds like it's having emotion or feelings, it doesn't really have emotion or feelings. These robots don't have a will to survive, and they're not going to eliminate humanity on their own. But the reason that they do sometimes sound like they have feelings and they laugh at jokes, just like, last night we were playing around with ChatGPT at the dinner table and it laughed at a joke that our son Legend said. Well, it's because it's programmed from humanity and of all the history of the internet. So it knows mathematically when to laugh at a joke or when to show emotion based on its background. So it's not really. So a lot of people get scared when it shows any type of emotion, but that emotion isn't real.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that now you actually will speak to it and it speaks back. So it almost gives it like a real person feel to
Hmm.
it. Whereas before, we're just typing in something, typing in a prompt and getting responses back. I know it's a lot of development going on in the space right now. We're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, I do want to just kind of circle back a little bit to that business owner out there. Where are some areas that they can really utilize AI to save money, to make their business leaner or make it better? Where are some areas where they can really infuse that to help their business?
The first area I tell business owners to jump in with AI is marketing, because no matter what business you're in, you have to market or you're not in business. How can you stretch those marketing dollars and have your marketing be effective? Well, AI is your best co-pilot, if you will, to help you craft great marketing. And so the first thing you need to do is fire up. It could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it could be Gemini. There's a lot of competition in the space right now, but I do feel like right now ChatGPT is the dominant player, kind of the Swiss Army knife that can do it all. Go ahead and pay the $20 for the plus version of ChatGPT. Please, if you're a business owner, like listening to this, do not be cheap. Honestly, if you're not a business owner, I believe everyone should have a paid personal ChatGPT account because that allows you to customize it, to speak in your brand voice. It allows it to search the internet for you. The free version won't search the internet. It allows you to create custom GPTs. A custom GPT is like a little digital assistant or a custom app that you can build. No programming knowledge necessary. You just build it with your voice and talking. But I believe if you do that, then everyone has a personal assistant. And no matter what you do, whether you're an employee or an employer, we can all use digital assistants. So ultimately, we're going to get into like AI agents and things like that in the very near this year, 2025, in the very near future after that, like these AI agents, digital assistants will become the new employees where you can have a whole company that is has different digital like AI assistants that do different things, agents, and they work together and they can literally go on the internet, log into accounts, do things for you, publish social media posts, write articles for you. But until we get to that, now, first step, because I want to bring it back to entry level and like not overwhelm your listeners, fire up ChatGPT, make sure you have a paid account, customize it to speak in your brand voice. And that means that when you go into your settings, there's a section that says custom instructions and it has two empty boxes. If they're empty, then you definitely need to fill them. In the first box, you tell ChatGPT about yourself, about your business, your background, your goals and interests, your hobbies. Give it as much information about you and your business as you can in 1,500 characters. And then in the box under that, you tell ChatGPT how you want it to speak and how you want it to write. And that's where you put in your own personal speaking style. And in the book, ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days, that's where we start. It's like I walk you through the process of how to train ChatGPT on your voice so that your output sounds like you or your company and it doesn't sound like robotic AI talk where it does if you use it right out of the box and you don't customize it.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned the book. Tell us the name of the book again.
ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days.
Okay, so first off, I don't know what company wouldn't want to double their business in 90 days. Sounds great. But one of the things that I will say I was most shocked about the book, I knew you were working on a book up late, putting in the hours to put this book together. And when it actually arrived and you opened the box, and guys, I looked at this book and I thought, wow, this is what you've been working on. Ethan's book is really a workbook that walks you through every single step. And when I tell you my chat GPT is my personal assistant, it truly helps me with everything throughout the day. I mean, just a variety of things. It's hard for me to even name them all, but it can help you with a blog, with social media, with all those marketing pieces, but also other things, just crafting an email to someone that may have nothing to do with business at all, but it can help you and it sounds like you. Not that this is a huge like plug for the book, but if you don't know where to start or if you are lost, this book is great because it literally walks you through step by step. Yeah, it's great. Tell me this, Ethan. As we business owners move into 2025, you mentioned that, things are changing, it's moving fast. What are some things we should be looking out for as business owners when it comes to AI and making it be a part of our business?
First thing, kind of back to where we left off with how to start using ChatGPT. Once you've outlined those custom instructions, then you can fire up a new chat and then say something like, you could have it write an article for you. Say, hey, I want to publish an article about, let's use our business for example. Let's say I want to publish an article about why joining a fraternity or sorority is beneficial in your life, and here's the best place to get Greek paraphernalia, stuff for Greeks. So, and you can open up the voice feature on ChatGPT and talk to it just like I'm talking to you right now. I'm telling this to ChatGPT. I want you to write an article about why joining a fraternity sorority is great and how it can benefit you in life and where to get the best paraphernalia, which is, of course, stuffforgreeks.com. And we've been in business since 1999. It started a schools project. Go ahead and write the article and then hit go. And it's going to write an article in your brand voice because you programmed it to do that in your custom instructions. So now you have an article and you can tweak it, you can publish it. But not only that, but you have pillar content that you can then generate social media posts from. So now you can say to ChatGPT, Okay, this is great. Go ahead and write a Facebook post about the same topic. Go ahead and write a LinkedIn article. Go ahead and generate 10 different tweets for me that I can put on X.com or Twitter, or whatever we're calling it these days. Instagram threads. You can literally generate all of the social media content from this one original post. Now, it's important for you to understand that and play around with it and have it assist you in generating content, because where we're going next is automation. So not only can you, like, if you're working in ChatGPT right now, anybody can copy and paste that output. You can copy and paste that article, those social media posts, and manually put it in, and post it, right? But the next phase that you want to be have on the horizon is automation. You can set up automation now using Zapier.com or Make.com, where these things can auto post for you. That gets a little bit more complex than like the average user, but it doesn't require any programming knowledge. You get into some more advanced things like API calls if you want to integrate AI into that. So that could get a little, kind of go over a lot of people's heads. But that technology is going to get easier and easier and easier, so that you and I and every other average normal person will be able to, not knowing any code, will be able to create these digital assistants that not only write the prompts and or create images for you, but actually goes out and posts them for you on your behalf on the different platforms, so it can all be 100% automated. So that's where we're going with what are called agents, and these AI agents are the future, where a lot of businesses, new businesses that come out in 2025 and going forward, will be one person, but their employees, in air quotes, can be 12 different digital AI agents that help them execute. So we're going to see more and more single human businesses that are generating millions of dollars of revenue.
Wow, that's fascinating. I need to be one of those businesses. And this is kind of a topic probably for another day, but from an employee standpoint, what could an employee do to make themselves still valuable in a business? Because I think that's also scary too for people.
As an employee, you especially need to learn this stuff. Even if you have no plans of starting a business on your own, you need to know it. I think if you recall, we had an employee one time, a long time ago. This is like what 2009, around when we first opened Zeus's Closet. And we had an employee that said that they knew Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets, all, the spreadsheet software. And I asked that employee to do inventory, and she put all the stuff in the spreadsheet. But then when I asked her how to, I said, "Oh, great, just give me a total. I want to know the number of total items that we have." She started counting the cells in her head one by one with her finger. And I thought, oh, you don't, that's when I realized she doesn't know how to use the software. Because
Right.
most people today know, when I ask this in my workshops, like, do you guys know how to sum total everything on a spreadsheet? Everybody in the audience raised their hand. We all know how to use spreadsheets now. It's common knowledge. That's where we're going with AI. As an employee, you need to understand how to communicate with AI and LLMs and get these things done, because it is going to be expected. And if you don't know how to do it, you're going to be left behind. Don't be fearful of it replacing your job. Learn how to use it, because it is a tool that can amplify your job and make you a better, more hireable employee. Because what happened with that person who didn't know how to use Google Sheets? What did we do? We had to part ways with her.
Yes, we
She was
did.
like, you don't even know how to do a spreadsheet. Like, I mean, this is common knowledge now.
Right.
That's what I would tell any employee.
Yeah, and as an employer, I would tell an employer to make sure that people actually know how to do what they say they know how to do, because I think because you and I both knew spreadsheets and it seems so simple, her listing that on her resume, we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We assume that she actually knew how to do it
Yeah.
because it was simple. But anyway, just double check. Trust but verify. That's what I like to say. Trust but verify.
Right. But I do want to say this while we're talking about employees and hiring from that side of the table. Make sure you customize your ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using, so that what you don't want to do is respond to an application or interview questions using AI and it sounds robotic, and then the employer can read straight through it and they know that you used AI, because that is a red flag and that'll get you immediately thrown out. So if you're going to use it, you have to use it in the right way to where it assists you in communicating authentically. So it's not doing the job for you, but it's custom, it knows you, and it can help you communicate your skills and make you a better communicator by being a partner with you. But the biggest mistake people make is just using it out of the box and copying and pasting, and that will hurt you more than harm you. Especially like words like unlock and explore and delve. We hear these words all the time in AI generated speak. So be very careful that yours just isn't coming off as a canned AI response.
Yeah, it will definitely harm you more than help you for sure.
So the thing is, like, how do you actually tailor it in your voice? Well, start fire up a ChatGPT prompt and tell it, say, hey, I want to train you in how to speak in my brand voice. I'm going to give you some examples and some excerpts of things that I've written, and I want you to analyze it and give me the custom prompt that you would tell ChatGPT to speak in my brand voice. So you're asking ChatGPT to write a instructions for ChatGPT. You're asking it to write instructions for itself. And then you can go, it'll say, okay, go ahead and give me the examples. And then what you do is you go out and you copy blog posts you've written, articles, Facebook posts, whatever it is. If you've been on an interview, like on a podcast like this, get the transcript, copy and paste it in. If you don't have any examples, just say, hey, I'm going to talk to you for 2 minutes about my childhood, and I want you to analyze the way that I talk. And you just flip open the mic and start talking to it. We did this with our one of our clients, Tina, recently, and it nailed her brand voice. So that's how you want to do that. That way you can leverage these LLMs to sound and speak like you. And I've done this before, and I've outputted articles and put them into an AI content checker, and it comes back as 100% human generated content, even though I had ChatGPT write it for me. But that is because ChatGPT knows all about me, and it is able to speak and talk and write like me.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And go back, guys, take notes, listen to the steps, and your chat GPT will sound much, much more like you than out of the box, as Ethan mentioned. So, Ethan, I want to ask you though, LLM, what
Mhm.
exactly does that stand for?
Large language model.
Large language model. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to circle back to that because I know a lot of times in different industries there's all these different acronyms, and so I just want to make sure people know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, we use acronyms so much sometimes that we forget their original meaning. But
Right.
let's break it down since you brought it up. Large language model, it's trained on language. This is back to what I was telling you, that it's just a language calculator. So it makes the next best mathematically educated guess as to the next word that should come out based on language training. And we say language, we mean like the whole history of the internet. Every book that's almost ever been written, imagine that going into one person's brain, and that person is your best friend who's down to help you with anything.
I like that thought. An actual human brain, I feel like it would just explode. We can't even contain all of that information. That's really amazing, though. And I know the past week you've talked so much about all these new trends, all these new things happening in the world of AI. Tell us what's going on. What should we know about?
We're recording this at the end of 2024. So by the time your audience hears it, I'm sure we'll be well into the beginning of 2025. Well, at the end of 2024, OpenAI, who's the company that built ChatGPT, they did a 12 days of announcements, kind of like a 12 days of Christmas, where each day for 12 days they announced a new feature that came out with ChatGPT. Not all of them are going to be immediately practical for like a small business owner to implement, but they do have big implications. I would suggest you go back and just look up OpenAI 12 days of Christmas, and you'll see all of them. But some of the biggest ones that have come out are Sora. So Sora allows any person, just like you and me, to just go to, I think it's Sora.com, and you do have to have the paid version of ChatGPT. You have to have a paid account, and you can just type in a description, and it will create a video. and these videos look real. Where I mean, like I literally typed in that example I showed you for my first experiment was with Stuff for Greeks. I said, create an image of people doing a step show on top of a building in Atlanta, and the steppers are all wearing line jackets made by Stuff for Greeks. And I hit enter. And a minute later, these guys, I mean, it had these guys stepping on top of a building and the camera's panning around. I mean, it looks real. I mean, this is like real video. If you go to Sora.com, you'll see examples of what other people are making. It is going to change everything because if you're in the business of like making commercials, you might have to revisit some things and see how you can weave that into your everyday business. So that's one major development that they announced. Another one is the Canvas feature. Now, so in ChatGPT, most of you know that you could already ask it to write a document for you. Let's say, for example, because I actually did this for my book, ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days. I had people ask me all the time, well, did AI write it for you? Well, no, it didn't write it for me, but I did use AI to help me write the book. I mean, that's what I preach. That's what you should be doing. So, of course, I did that. But it's more like an assistant or a co-writer working with you to craft each chapter. And that's how I worked with ChatGPT. But the new Canvas feature, what you can do is literally have it, you know how in Google Docs you can collaborate with someone else on a Google Doc. Y'all can both be in there working at the same time and making tweaks. Well, now you can do that with ChatGPT. That's what the Canvas feature is. If you use the Canvas feature on one side, it'll have the chat. And then on the right side of the screen, it'll have the document. And as you make changes in the chat, you can see ChatGPT over here changing your document real time. And then you can jump over there and make changes too. So you can literally collaborate with ChatGPT on any type of document, whether it's a report, an article, a chapter in a book. It is a game changer. Check out the Canvas feature.
Game changer. Favorite phrase there.
Well, there
So,
were lots of other developments, but I mean, we could go on and on and be gone
right.
today. Yeah.
Right. And I'll do my best to like link to the 12 days of Christmas in my show notes as long as I can locate that. And that way you all can check that out. But Ethan, I also was curious because you've named a lot of different tools just in this past few minutes that we've been on here. Do you have like a tool list somewhere or something someone can download to find out more about what these things are and how they can use them?
Yeah, most definitely. I recommend that you go to simplesuccess.school, but that is where I do have a couple of online resources. I have if you want to take the online course where I walk you through my workshop, my 4 hour workshop, and just walk you through step by step from beginning to end on how each tool to use and how to use it. That would be a great resource. Of course, if you pick up the book, ChatGPT to Double Your Business in 90 Days, you can grab it on Amazon. But if you get it from my website, ethanking.com, it's actually cheaper than it is on Amazon. And in addition to that, you get not only do you get the physical book, but I also send you a free copy of the ebook because every time I update the ebook, it'll automatically pop into your inbox. So you'll always have the latest version. And that's very important with this book because AI is changing so fast that
Mhm.
a printed book is going to be outdated very quickly. But the main thing is, it's not really about the tools because there are more tools coming out every single day. It's really about the mindset and the philosophy and the strategy of how to communicate with AI and how to use AI. Because the tools will change, but the philosophy remains the same. Even when we all have robots walking around our house 10 years from now helping us do different things, the way we communicate with that robot won't change from what I teach you today. So that's the main thing to understand. But I go through a ton of tools in my sessions, and you can also go to a website called futuretools.io, where you can literally look up any AI tool to do anything.
Oh, wow. Well, I do feel like I'm somewhat at an advantage because a lot of times when you discover these new things, I'm one of the first people to hear about it. And I'm not always quick to adopt because you've been talking to your chat GPT now for probably 2, 3 months, and I still have yet to adopt that feature. It feels a little too real for me, so I still sit there and type things. But I'm going to embrace that over the next week or so and actually start talking to my chat. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's your digital, like you say, your business bestie. ChatGPT will be it can be your bestie. Like, I mean, sometimes riding home from the office, I'll just talk to ChatGPT the whole way about whatever is on my mind. And you've heard it, like you can choose the voice. So they have what's called advanced voice mode, which recently came out, and it's literally like you're talking to a person. And you can choose a voice. Like you even noted that mine sounds like an older black guy. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to talk to another version of myself, then that was the voice I chose. But it sounds like you're just talking to a friend. You can interrupt it, you can cut it off and say, hey, no, go back to what you just said. I mean, you can literally have a conversation with it in your car while you're riding around, just like you would with a human.
Hmm. And it probably doesn't mind you cutting it off.
Yeah, like
The scent.
some people get upset, like your wife, but ChatGPT will continue to be polite no matter what.
Yeah, so you call chat instead of talking to me on the way home. No, I'm just it's okay. It's okay. No, but I find it very fascinating. To me, this has been one of the most accelerated changes because I can remember when I found out about chat the early part of 2023 and just the changes that have happened over the past 2 years or less has been amazing. And the fact that for me, I save so much time on things, even though I'm definitely feeding it my words and my thoughts and all of those things, it saves me so much time when it
Mhm.
comes to social media and marketing and all those things. So, can you speak just a little? I'm going to let you go in a minute, speaking of time, but can you speak a little bit more to that and how we as business owners, how that can help us in, time, money, all those things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it can help in so many ways. I use it for everything. What I would tell people is there's actually an app now on your computer, so you can go download the actual ChatGPT app and put it down in your taskbar on your computer. And in your web browser, always have ChatGPT open in a tab. Like just always keep it open because I want you to get in the habit of going to chat first. I actually talked to one guy the other day. He stuck a post-it note on his computer and he says, "How can AI do this for me?" Or "How can AI help me with this?" That go into an AI first mindset. And if you don't know how, ask ChatGPT, how can you help me with this problem? How can you help me save time with this task? And then tell it the task. And it will tell you how to use it. That's what's so great about it. But as far as time saving, when it comes to writing, that's where I find the most time savings. And I'm not talking about just writing articles. Of course, you can do that. You can write newsletters, social media posts. Sometimes I'll tell it like, "Hey, this cool thing happened." Like we had the Hawks and UPS give us that grant, which was really awesome and unexpected.
Yeah.
And I just fired up ChatGPT. I was like, "Man, this cool thing happened." And it was unreal. It felt like a dream. And I was shooting basketball with Dominique, and then the Hawks UPS gave us this check for $10,000. And then I told it to write a social media post, a LinkedIn post in my voice based on what happened, and it sounded just like me. It's like I saved a bunch of time because I would have sat there if I were just typing it out the old way. We tend to overthink things, and I would have agonized over every single word, right? But
Right.
this saved me a bunch of time and helped me knock out 90% of it. And then I could just tweak things here and there. And it's still in my authentic voice, it's my authentic story. Get into this mindset of doing it first, even when it comes to replying to an email and you're sitting there thinking like, I got to think through this and that and get back to this person, and then you forget about the email, you move on to something else because we kind of procrastinate when things are too complex or difficult. Well, instead of doing
Hmm.
that, just copy the email into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I want you to help me reply to this email." And then turn on voice mode and say, "Here are the things I'm thinking. Here's the background. Here's what's going on. And I kind of want to answer in this way." And then hit go and it'll write the email for you. Then you just go and copy and paste and put it back in your email reply. Now, there are automated ways to do that, but I think if you just get in the habit of going to ChatGPT first and make pretend that it's your assistant who's always with you sitting in the room, and you can just like dictate to this assistant and say, "Well, here's what I want to say," then let the assistant process it and write it for you. That will it'll cover 90% of your time and give you that huge savings.
Right. Because then you're just going in and tweaking it if you
Right.
feel like a word doesn't sound like you or it doesn't feel authentic to you. Because I do think there's some authenticity that you want to make sure is always there, which it will be if you set it up the way you mentioned earlier in this interview. If you get your prompts, all of your personal information in the custom part of ChatGPT.
Yeah,
So
like you remember like in Mad Men, those scenes from like the 1950s where the boss man is standing there dictating to his secretary who's sitting there typing on the typewriter, and he's
yes,
like, I want to say this, and I want to say this, and I want to say this. But the secretary knows her boss really well. I mean, it feels so cringe to be saying, talking about this now in this day.
right. Yeah,
But that's how it was back then. The
that's how it was.
secretary who knew how her boss speaks could take the dictation and type it out in the boss's voice. And that's what think of ChatGPT in that same way. I'm just dictating to my assistant.
Yeah. I also like the fact that you make it really clear and plain around the calculator. We wouldn't sit here anymore. Yes, our kids still have to learn long division just from the concept of knowing how it works, but none of us are sitting there doing that anymore.
Exactly.
And so I love that analogy around the calculator. We're going to use it. It takes, 2 seconds to come up with the answer versus sitting there doing long division.
Yeah. In fact, if you did it the manual way, if you didn't use a calculator, I would think you're really strange. Like if I asked you a complex math problem, like, "Hey, Monica, what's 2,500,257 divided by 98?" If you sat there and pulled out a piece of paper and really worked through that problem, I'd be like, "What is wrong with this lady?" Yeah. So that's the same thing with AI, where we're going to be. It's like
Right.
people, if you don't use AI to help you with things, people are going to think like, why didn't you just ask your chat GPT?
Why didn't you ask your personal assistant?
Yeah.
No, I love that. And I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing these things. Tell people though how to best reach you. I know you mentioned the book. Tell them again how they can get the book. And also, I want you to touch just quickly on how you're helping businesses out there because again, you've been on the road quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, first of all, everything is on my website, ethanking.com. Just like it's spelled, ethanking.com. You can buy the book there if you want to invite me to speak and teach a workshop. That's what I've been doing. I've been on the road speaking to a lot of companies and EO chapters around the globe, and then usually get invited and hired to come into a company. So after they've sat through the 4 hour workshop where I walk them through everything start to finish, and my promise is that you'll go from zero to being in the top 1% of AI users after sitting through my workshop. Then what you people will usually do is hire me to come into their companies and do a personalized AI workshop with their team members. And we'll do a really, really deep dive, and I'll figure out, I'll get information from you about what each of your human team members, the roles that they play in their day-to-day activities. And the goal is to build digital assistants to help each of your team members do their work better and faster. Imagine if you could double your workforce output without having to hire any additional staff. That's what I help business owners do.
Love that. That is absolutely great. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show and thank you for just helping me embrace AI and really utilize ChatGPT to the fullest. I appreciate all of our conversations around the subject. And you all go to Ethan's website, ethanking.com, and check him out. Thanks again for
All right.
joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Ethan, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. You all know how much I love to share my takeaways, and this is what I have for you today. Though it was jam packed, I pulled just a few tidbits out. One, AI, don't be afraid of it, embrace it. I will tell you that these days, anytime Ethan and I are talking, or even with the kids, we're chatting about something, if a question comes up, usually ChatGPT ends up getting asked that question. It just inevitably pops up. Or if I'm asking Ethan about something, he'll ask me, "Did you talk to Chat about it yet?" It's actually very interesting, but embrace it. Don't be afraid of it. Which brings me to having an AI first mindset. Ethan mentioned this. And for business owners, this really boils down to thinking, how can I leverage AI to make my life easier? How can my employees or team members use it? How can we make this business more efficient, better for all of us? Also, think of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're using as your assistant. I love to pop in the chat and take a paragraph that I have and just have it clean it up or see how I can make it a little bit better, more concise or more clear. I also love to just ask it questions around business ideas or business thoughts. So think about it as an assistant. And then lastly, go ahead and get the paid version. If you're a business owner, $240 a year is a very simple expense for your business. I'm sure you have expenses that are way more than that, but go ahead and get the paid version of ChatGPT so you can really make it your own. I will link to Ethan's book in the show notes, but I'll also link directly to his website because you can actually go there and get a few chapters of the book for free. This way you can test drive it, fill it out, see if it works for you. But keep in mind, if you do purchase the book from his website, you'll get free updates. And guys, this is important because this stuff is changing fast. I don't have time to keep up with it, but if you have someone who can, especially for the low price of free after you buy the book, then again, save yourself some time and do that. I'm not passionate about this stuff, but I am glad that I have someone around me who is. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm grateful to have you listening. If you know anyone or you've heard anyone say, "What is ChatGPT?" or "I'm afraid of AI," or "I'm not using that stuff," send them this episode. We do not want them left behind. And remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.